Hey guys, what's going on? It's Codiak here, joined by my friend Kelso. You know him, you love him. He's the enhancement shaman for Exiled power, the one and only. And today we're going to be talking about 7.2 because Blizzard dropped the bomb. The release date for 7.2 is next Tuesday, March 28th. We are returning to the Broken Shore, Kelso. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited. I think it's a welcome change. We got some time to get things going in Nighthold, and for those of us who are fortunate or unfortunate enough to not have completed it at this point, it gives us a little bit of incentive to keep going, keep pushing.
Yeah, so this is part of Blizzard's thing, right? They wanted to push out this content, and there's a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about in this video, kind of in depth, kind of not in depth. There's a lot of stuff to cover. We want to give you guys the big ones, and then maybe cover a little of the small ones at the end really quick. So the first thing is that we're going back to the Broken Shore. As you guys all know, we started the expansion on the Broken Shore in that scenario. We are going back there for this new scenario. It unlocks this new, you can call it an emissary hub, a quest hub. There's a new reputation involved. A lot of cool stuff, Kelso.
Yeah, definitely. A lot more to do, I guess, considering that the new reputation is going to be working towards your new Draenor Pathfinder Part 2. So you're going to want to get that in the mix along with everything else that they're adding too.
Yeah, and so part of that is actually the class campaigns, right? So the class campaigns is kind of an extension of the living world, what we've been doing in our class order halls. Talk us through some of the things that are coming with that.
In order to really exercise your class campaign to the fullest, the end goal, I will say, for me is that class mount. Just because I think the shaman class mount is far and away the best. I may or may not be biased, but you need Exalted with the new rep, and you need to complete your campaign in order to unlock your class mount. So that's something that I'll be doing first and foremost. And then you get access to new followers and other class specific quests, or world quests rather, that you'll be able to do as a part of your new campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that too. I really like the hunter mount. We did the video ranking the class mounts, and there's some really cool ones out there. There's some really not cool ones out there. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Oh, look, we got a friend behind you. Jameson's making an appearance. Other side.
Oh, hey, bud. Yes, he is.
All right, so moving on to the big stuff, the dungeon changes, the new dungeon, and the raid. So let's start with the new dungeon. We're not going to get into it too much, but the big thing to know is that Cathedral of Eternal Night, it's a 4-boss dungeon. It's coming out on Tuesday. You very well could be getting a keystone for Cathedral of the Eternal Night on Tuesday. So a brand new dungeon coming to Legion, coming to patch 7.2, but there's also a ton of changes coming to the Mythic Keystone system. Why don't you walk us through those, Kelso?
First and foremost, I'm very excited for Cathedral, just because I haven't played the PTR, I haven't seen anything about it, so I'll be going into it blind, and I'm looking forward to enjoying that new aspect of the dungeon. But as far as current Mythic Dungeons, or Mythic Keystone Dungeons, so Mythic Plus for most people, they're coming out with a couple new affixes, and that should be really interesting, because not to say that the current ones have gotten a bit stale, but you're used to the same sort of rotation of affixes every week, and after a while it's like, okay, we understand that there's certain affixes that you really want to stay away from, and then there are others that you welcome with open arms, and adding a couple new affixes into the mix, and then tweaking current ones in such a way where they make them a little bit less wanting to be avoided and more welcomed, I think is a great change. So for the new affixes, we have Bursting, which is a level 4 affix. And basically, when non-boss enemies explode, they cause all players to suffer 10% damage of their max health over 4 seconds.
When you kill them, right?
Yes, correct. Sorry. When slain, exactly. So when you kill them, they explode, and then they take 10% damage over 4 seconds, and then the effect stacks. So basically, this should be relatively fun and interesting in the sense that you're not going to want to pull a half a room of mobs and then kill them all at once, because it could be quite detrimental to,
It sounds like
your
a
group.
terrible chain pulling. Like you're done. You can't chain pull. That's it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are some pretty bad ones, and that one's definitely going to be up there. But it's different, you know. Like I don't know about you, but for me, running the same sort of affixes every single week kind of gets a little dull.
Yeah.
So this should be interesting.
This next one doesn't look too bad though.
No. So Fell Explosives. This is a level 7, and actually the level 7 affixes are the ones that have sort of been tweaked the most. So Fell Explosives is where creatures have a chance to summon an explosive orb at a nearby location that will explode, and that inflicts damage of 50% of the player's maximum health. So
A lot of damage.
it's a lot of damage, but the fact that it's one player now, I don't know if this is going to splash to other players, or if it's just going to be targeted to one player and that's it. But I think that'll be pretty interesting to see and to deal with when we deal with it the first time. Second level 7 affix that they're adding is called Quaking, where occasionally players will quake, inflicting 20% damage of the player's maximum health and interrupting spell casts of themselves and nearby allies.
That sounds so annoying.
It kind of sounds like an elemental shaman on the flip side, you know, on the other side of the ally spectrum. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be terrible for a lot of casting healers, and you know, druids. I think resto druids will welcome that with open arms, because realistically they won't really be affected by it, but everybody else, casters, will most certainly hate it.
Look, resto druids have to get something, because I'm skipping ahead here. Overflowing is gone. And that was the resto druids. Like, whenever it was an overflowing week, it was resto druid's dream, because overflowing was so non-existent to resto druids. So for me, I would do it. I would love it on my alt, and then, you know, Lala, our holy paladin, would be like, nope, I can't do it, because I'm just gonna make shields on everybody. So I quake for a resto druid, and some of the non, you know, static casters is gonna be okay. But again, it's definitely an interesting effects.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. And then the last level 7 affix that they're adding is called Grievous. And Grievous is interesting because while below 90% health, players are afflicted with a grievous wound. And so that, to me, I don't know what the damage of this grievous wound is going to be, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be like a lot of tank mechanics back from previous expansions, where you know, they're going to have this debuff until they're healed to full, and if they're not healed to full, then they'll just take significant amount of damage. So yeah, it'll be an interesting debuff to deal with when we encounter it.
Yeah, definitely going to be a stress on the healers in that situation, just because maybe a healer that's not so geared is really going to struggle with something like that. If you're an under-geared group. But there's also been a ton of changes to kind of, I guess you could call them quality of life changes, whatever you want to call them, to a bunch of the existing affixes. As we already mentioned, overflowing is getting removed from the game. There's a big change to bolstering. The affix range has actually been reduced to 30 yards. Now, this is a 15-yard reduction, which is pretty big. You know, you would drag ads away to try and get them out of that bolstering range. Now that's a little bit more achievable, so you'll see a lot of groups doing that. The necrotic rot affix now expires after leaving combat. That effect is actually already live, and the duration has been reduced to 9 seconds. It was down from 10 seconds. Skiddish's threat reduction has been lowered to 75%. This was at 80%. Skiddish is still a pain in the ass. That's not really...
That seems so what's the word I'm looking for? Insignificant.
Yeah,
you know, a 5% threat reduction is garbage, in my opinion. Like, if you're gonna do something to it, you know, make it noticeable.
Right.
And as a melee, skittish is terrible.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. So Fortified is also getting a damage bonus. Fortified's damage bonus is being lowered to 30%. There we go. That is from 40%, so that's a 10% flat nerf, which is great. Tyrannical's damage bonus is being lowered to 15%, which was 20%. The Sanguine radius has been increased to 8 yards, so Sanguine's a little bit more challenging. But I think the overall theme here is that a lot of the affixes are getting slight reworks to make them a little bit easier, especially as we're learning these new affixes. I think that's the big thing here. A lot of those that were changed were either level 4 or level 10 affixes to help us deal with the new affixes that are coming into play here.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and then I think the next biggest point to mention is that now with the whole Mythic Keystone system the way that it is, and the new patch coming out, you have a chance to have your Mythic Keystone direct you to Karazhan, which is now interesting, which is going to be split up into different portions of the quote-unquote raid, in the sense that there will be a lower Karazhan, there'll be an upper Karazhan, and then as we mentioned before, Cathedral of Night will be another potential acquisition for your Mythic Keystone.
Now, Steve, is Nightbane going to be included in those Karazhan runs?
That's a negative Ghost Rider. There will be no Nightbane in these Mythic Plus dungeons. Yeah,
big question that we saw pop up a lot on various videos and other places around the WoW community. So Nightbane's not part of the Mythic Plus run, nor is his loot going to be in the chest at the end of the run. Just something
Correct.
For you guys to know. But with the changes to all of the affixes and all of, the new dungeon and Karazhan, this is the one that really gets me excited. Now, every time we get an 11 or a 12 Halls of Valor or a Vault of the Word, and we're like, nope, done, not doing it, screw that. The big change here, guys, is the adjustment to artifact power rewards for Mythic Dungeons. Now, this is a huge one for me because I absolutely hate Mythic Plus Dungeons. It's not what I enjoy doing in the game. But you have these, what they would call Maw groups, right, Steve? And they would go run Maw time after time after time. Well, now running the shorter dungeons is actually going to give you less artifact power, and running those longer dungeons are going to give you even more artifact power. And this is a huge change. I mean, just talk to me about this one.
Hey, Jameson. So with these changes, it's actually going to be interesting because, like you mentioned, there'll be no more like Maw farming groups. Or there very well might be for targeting specific pieces of gear. But as far as Maw groups for artifact power, I think that'll really decline because the length of the dungeon is going to dictate the payout as far as artifact power at the end. So that's going to be interesting. Halls of Valor is going to be proportionately higher as far as artifact power than, let's say, Maw of Souls. The weekly chest rewards that you get will also have that artifact power adjusted to them. So basically the highest the highest Mythic Keystone that you completed will yield you a proportionally higher amount of artifact power than a lower Keystone for that week.
And this is a huge effort from Blizz to address the artifact power gaps, the issue with, it really ties into so many different things, but these mythic guilds that were really pushing themselves to get 54 traits, where there were guilds like us that were pushing it, but not really setting any deadlines or expectations other than that you were working hard on it. And what they're trying to do is basically squish that power gap so that the lower end of the spectrum can come up and the higher end of the spectrum can kind of ease off the throttle just a little bit. So hopefully this is going to help the AP coming from the weekly chests and these dungeon changes. But let's move on to the next thing, raids. Now, a million people are going to ask, is Tomb of Sargeras coming out on Tuesday? Is Tomb of Sargeras coming out on Tuesday? Steve, is Tomb of Sargeras coming out on Tuesday?
No, it's not. It's not. There's still going to be quite a bit of time. Speculation right now has it at around 11 weeks after the 7.2 drops. So we're talking circa June 12th. Potentially, just because of the quest line, the campaign quest line for Broken Shores takes 11 weeks, give or take. So we're speculating June 12th to be
Wildly
more
speculating, not locked in. We have no secret information that you do not.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no method to the madness other than the campaign quest line is supposed to take 11 weeks, and so we're speculating that's when Tomb of Sargeras will be released.
Yeah. And one of the cool things that's actually coming out as we're doing the campaign for the Broken Shore is these Rift-style assaults. Now, if you guys have played Rift, you'll know, and maybe I'm dating myself, maybe Rift isn't even that cool anymore, but there was these kind of assault zones on different parts of the world, and that's going to happen on the Broken Shore. Different zones will be under attack. You're going to get a decent amount of stuff from doing that. You're going to get reputation. You're going to get probably nether shards, which will be used for the new faction. A lot of cool stuff coming from the Rift style assaults. In my personal experience with these types of things, they're really cool for the first couple weeks, and then after that they become really static. So I'm interested to see what Blizz is going to do to keep these things fresh, how they're going to keep evolving it. And they do keep evolving this living world. They constantly talk about the living world. So it's just another layer to it. It's to keep us in that Broken Shore mindset, and it really is the build up to Tomb of Sargeras. So that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and actually, I could tell you, one way that they'll keep it fresh and new, and with those nether shards, they'll actually give you the ability to target specific legendaries that you can acquire by spending them on that specific slot. So similar to how they did it back in WoD in Tanan Jungle, there'll be a vendor where you can spend this particular resource, this currency, if you will, and you'll be able to buy a helm, you'll be able to buy shoulders, cloak, every single slot of gear, and that specific piece of gear that you purchase will have the ability to Warforge, will have the ability to Titan Forge, but it'll also have the ability to Titan Forge into a legendary for your specific spec. So I can imagine that people will most certainly be farming these nether shards, will most certainly be doing everything that they can in order to spend that specific resource to get that best in slot legendary that they don't have. So that'll be interesting. But again, that's another part that may or may not bode well for the game. I'm not sure.
I mean, the Tanan Jungle stuff, the Timeless Isle, I mean, anytime you add a system where it's very easy to get some quick gear, you're automatically injecting something into the game that's very dangerous. Just because, don't mean dangerous in a negative way necessarily, but dangerous in the sense that you'll see a lot of people quickly pumping out characters, which could interrupt the LFR groupings, the dungeon groupings, because people are trying to gear up their tunes, and that's great, and it is one of their catch-up mechanics. But this idea of being able to get legendaries can quickly spiral out of control. Imagine their algorithm is off or whatnot, and you just see legendary after legendary after legendary. Granted, we don't know how fast you're going to be able to collect nether shards. I'm sure somebody on the PTR may be able to talk about that a little bit, but a lot of interesting things happening to legendaries, a lot of changes actually coming to the legendaries too. We did a video on all the major changes coming to legendaries, but the big thing to take away is that they're the utility legendaries, the middle of the road legendaries that aren't your best in slot are getting some overhauls, whether that be a secondary effect or a third secondary stat. Go check out that video. A lot of changes to those legendaries. But the one thing that we haven't talked about, which is really, really cool, is we call it bad luck protection, right, Steve? What's changing with bad luck protection with legendaries in 7.2?
So right now in patch 7.1.5, current status of the game, you have a specific chance to get a legendary. I think after the second or third legendary that you get, your odds of getting a legendary remain the same. So from getting, your fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh legendary, your odds of getting another one remain the same. And that evolves spec no matter what spec you play. That's the chance you have for your character. Now what happens in 7.2 is Blizzard implements a spec to spec bad luck protection. So now let's say you have 8 legendaries for me, for example. I have 8 legendaries for my enhancement spec, which, by the way, I don't. I have 4, but let's say I have 8 for enhancement, right? Now all of a sudden, enhancement just becomes terrible, right? Which It very well may. So now I switch to Elemental, right? Now I have 0 Legendaries for Elemental. And that'll allow me, Blizzard has implemented this bad luck protection so that my chance of getting an Elemental Legendary is highly increased than if I were to switch to Elemental in 7.1.5. So it's adding that nuance to the game where, you know, you have the ability to stay relevant across different specs. Now with this new increased legendary drop rate, let's say, for a spec that you haven't played before.
Yeah, and that's really cool, especially if people are on the fence about switching their spec or their main spec for a rating situation or whatnot, or just really want to change, because legendaries play such a huge part in, you know, your ability to do well in a PvE environment. But on top of that, crafted legendaries, it's been kind of a hot button issue, because you say crafted legendaries and it's just kind of like, it doesn't seem to go hand in hand. But one of the things that we want to make clear is that these are really utility-based legendaries. They're not going to be best in slot, and they're really intended for players that haven't had a lot of legendary luck, or maybe don't play that much and want to go grind out the mats, or, you know, get a legendary under their belt. They do have a lot of stats, and they will help you in, you know, Legion world of things going on, but it's not about the throughput. It's not about doing well in a raid environment. It's not about really doing well in any PvE environment other than like world content and things like that. So it's a cool addition, but it's not really geared towards the mythic raiding community, even the heroic normal raiding community. It's more for the casual player that kind of wants to get a legendary under their belt.
Sure. Yeah, it's I think aimed as like a bridge to from none to a handful of legendaries that you can use for, like you said, throughput purposes.
Absolutely. And so the next big thing we want to talk about, guys, is the importance of understanding that patch 7.2 is not a balancing patch. Now, a lot of people will see changes to their class and their characters in 7.2, and if you want to check all of those new things, those updates, check out MMO Champion or Wowhead or wherever you want to go for your information to get the down and dirty for your specific class. And yes, I said down and dirty just because you wrote it in the notes. One of the things being changed to classes as well is that legendary items can now be used from level 101 to 110, whether that means that all legendaries will drop at 101 or if that was just a change to allow for the crafted legendaries. I have no idea. But another thing, as we were perusing the notes, that I thought was really, really interesting was this taunts change. And this is just a weird, quirky note that I thought was interesting. So taunt is now going to increase all threat against a target by 400%. And now that's up from 200%. So that initial taunt is going to do a ton of initial threat. It's a cool change. I think I didn't realize there was a big need for a taunt change, but I'm not tanking right now, so I'm interested to see that. I think what that actually has to do with, speaking specifically about our raid tonight, you know, we had a Brewmaster Monk that was a little bit less geared, and we had a gear to the teeth Guardian Druid, and our Brewmaster Monk had some trouble pulling threat from our Guardian Druid, who told me after the raid that he was having to hold back a little bit. So that taunt increase may be to help balance kind of the tanking situation. Maybe Blizzard's acknowledging that the tanking situation isn't as ideal as they thought it was.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of disparity between certain class tanks and their ability to generate threat, whether it be in an AoE situation or a single target situation. You know, most classes have one hard taunt ability called taunt, or provoke, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, they have one of those buttons, and then you have the other handful of classes that, you know, can sort of get around it by death gripping or you know, having a statue or something that can emulate a taunt as well. So yeah, I think it's a welcome change to a lot of tanks, and speaking from somebody who tanks a lot during skittish Mythic Plus weeks, I would love to not get beat on all the time by having a tank be able to taunt off me when I pull aggro. So yeah, I definitely appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. So the next thing, and this is just to kind of cap off the class section here is that there are some changes and some updates to animation, sound, and spell effects for specifically hunters, DKs, and balanced druids. Blizzard has been doing this great work going into Legion with their art team and their animations team and doing all of these refreshes. It's keeping the game up to date with kind of what's out there in the MMO world, and it's a welcome change. It's a cosmetic change. We all kind of like it. I remember looking at some of our abilities right off the bat, and we're like, wow, that's really cool. Specifically the melee ones. The range ones still need some work. Yeah. But, I mean, how cool can you make an arrow flying towards a target? Not that cool, unfortunately.
Add fire to it.
Yeah, right. So let's touch on the artifact power thing, but let's not do it in a way that will get people to zone out. So artifact power is getting a big rework in 7.2. Blizzard has admitted that it is one of their kind of Achilles heels in Legion. The power gap is huge. The top 1% of all of the AP is going to the rich people, and the 99% of us that suck don't have any of the AP. Yeah.
Hats off.
Yeah, okay. So talk to me about some AP changes.
So what I think is interesting is everybody that has traits 35 and above will have all of that artifact power refunded to them, and there'll be new traits that are being released that they'll be able to invest that artifact power into. All of the existing traits that have 3 points will have a 4th additional point added, or have an additional point added to them, making 4 total points to be invested. And along with that, I think it's really important to note that the artifact knowledge level will increase accordingly. And I'm fairly certain that from artifact knowledge 25 to 26, we're looking at roughly like a 4-fold increase. So I think right now we're at like 25 or 26,000% increase in artifact power, and I'm fairly certain that artifact knowledge 26 is going to be 4 times that amount. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But yeah, so I mean it's there. There's going to be more things to do, a lot more points to invest into your weapon, and along with that, there'll be new artifact appearances to farm and/or acquire along the way.
Yeah, and so let's read between the lines here. Now, as raiders, we're obviously looking for buffs and nerfs all the time, whether it be to ourselves or to the content that we're doing. And this is a buff, right? This is a buff to us, especially because most Mythic raiders or even a lot of heroic raiders may have over the 34 points in their weapons. So you're going to get those points, putting them into new traits. Those new traits are largely utility based, but the additional points to the 3-point traits are going to be a buff. It is kind of a soft nerf to content because they're buffing us. And that's something to read between the lines. If you're still doing the night hold, don't be discouraged if you're stuck on a boss like we were tonight. Those 12% wipes, those 10% wipes, they suck, but look on the horizon. There are changes coming to your characters that will help you perform a little bit better in that type of environment. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I think AP is the big one in 7.2, the changes to the artifact system. I'm looking forward to it. If you want to deep dive into it, go onto any of your trusted MMOs or Wowhead sites, whatever you want to do. There are a lot more smarter people out there than myself and Kelso that number crunch this shit all day. I can't do it. I don't care about doing it. I just know that the more stuff I kill, the more AP I get.
Yeah, so, we just do it. And let me tack on to the end of that real quick. If you have 54 traits in your weapon currently, there's no point in saving artifact power to put into that weapon once 7.2 comes out on Tuesday. The artifact power that you acquire now will become unusable on Tuesday. So put it into a different weapon, put it into an off spec or an off spec if you have extra artifact power, because like I said, I mean, you're not going to be able to use it come Tuesday, so might as well make the most use out of it now.
And one more thing with the artifacts, guys. Belluar, who, we love here at Exiled Power, we love his videos. He put out a great video showing all of the new artifact appearances in 3D model form. They look so cool. There's so much cool stuff coming out, except for the hunters, which look like shit, in my opinion. But that's just me. What do I know? I don't know anything.
You play a goblin, so
yeah,
you signed up for it.
Exactly. So a lot of really cool stuff coming. Specifically the melee stuff always looks absolutely badass. I think tanks get flails. Warrior tanks get a flail.
I mean,
that's so cool. And the Guardian Druid. If you haven't seen the Guardian Druid yet, I may put it on the screen. I may make you go look at it because it's that badass.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah,
it is pretty
Bear
neat.
Hulk, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Yeah, Bear Hulk. I'm hoping Quest gets that.
Although the Neon Bear definitely gives it a run for its money.
It has a place on our hearts.
Yeah.
You can never lose your bear tank when he's in Neon Bear form.
You can never find him either.
That's right. So I'm going to cover the next one here. I'm going to steal it out from Kelso because it is one of the things that I absolutely love about the game, but I also absolutely hate it when it goes wrong. It's the long-awaited update to tab targeting. I am the king of tab targeting, which many people will probably cringe at. They have been working on tab targeting every friggin' patch since tab targeting was a thing, which I'm pretty sure was the first day the game came out. So tab targeting is getting an overhaul. It should feel more natural. While you're in combat, you'll no longer be able to accidentally target something that is out of combat from you. And furthermore, you'll no longer be able to tab to a target that neither your character nor your camera can see. So no more tabbing to things that are outside the room, outside of, across the map, 7 instances over. It's a change to tab targeting. I'm a tab target junkie. It's my thing. I don't know. I can't break the cycle, but hopefully, fingers crossed, tab targeting is finally quote unquote fixed.
I hope so too. I tab target quite a bit, and it's terrible. You pull Soccer Thar from last expansion when you're raiding Nighthold. So yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
Take Transmog for me.
Oh, God. Okay, Transmog. Maybe I'm not the best person to talk about this just because everybody says my Transmog looks like shit. But I just happen to like it, and I love Transmog. So there's just going to be a huge UI overhaul where you actually get like a specific Transmog tab where you can make all your sets and everything. I would imagine it's somewhat similar to Wardrobe or one of the other
Mogget.
Mogget, yeah, there you go.
But yeah.
And it'll be nice for people that love farming the old instances, or they need that last piece of gear. It'll be nice to have everything all in one place, something that an add-on sort of did. So this will be natively built into the game now.
Yeah, and Blizzard is pretty good at looking at the add-ons that players need on a regular basis and eventually implementing them into the game. So this is really cool for the collectors, the people that want to finish out those sets. So that's pretty neat.
Yep.
So some changes to professions. We'll blast through these and kind of the last bits of this video. Professions in general, the Obliterum Forge is going to be available for all players. There is no more stupid quest line that we all hated and barely did. All of the endgame crafted gear will start at an item level of 835. The Obliterum cap has been raised to 875, which still doesn't really touch most normal heroic mythic raiders, but it's still there in case you want to do it. And now some of the world quests will award you with 1 point for your associated profession. So just some some overarching profession changes. But you know what, you say oh boy, I am still like 750 on my engineering because there's nothing in the game that I need to make as an engineer. It's just one of those pointless professions, this expansion, and that's really sad.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I switched over from leatherworking to alchemy just for 2-hour flasks. It makes it much more cost efficient, if you will.
Well, speaking of flasks, one of the changes to alchemy is that a lot of the potions and flasks and whatnot are actually going to require less mats. So that should actually help stabilize some of the server economy, should bring the cost of herbs down. And hey, if you're going to that blood vendor, new change at the blood vendor, because you're buying mats, you can actually now buy in quantities from the blood vendor. So a little bit of chain reaction there, going from Kelso being an alchemist to herbs being cheaper to using the blood vendor. So we got a 3-fer there.
Yep.
Some other things, guys, really quick. So mana and rejuve pots can be used by anybody. In the archaeology world, you can now get AP from archaeology. There's a new thing called elite dig sites. Enemies that can be summoned from the archaeology stuff can be tagged and killed by multiple players.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's not bad. I don't do archaeology myself, but I know it's a niche thing. A lot of people do it and have fun with it. So hey, that's great. All of the craft professions, excuse me, blacksmithing, leatherworking, tailoring, crafted legendaries, as we talked about before. And then in cooking, our good friend Nami has a new work order for prepared ingredients. This is something that you can use to combine 10 servings of something to create a random recipe. So I don't know, 10 servings of a random recipe. I don't really get it. I don't really know why they're adding it. It seems kind of stupid to me, but that's just me.
It's to combine all your scraps of your mats, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. And all right, why don't you go ahead and round it off with those last two sections, because we're huge pet battlers and PvPers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I make it a point to go to every pet battle on my world quests every single day. No, absolutely not. I mean, pet battling is definitely a niche that people enjoy and people play. I'm not one of them, unfortunately, but they are making some quality of life changes to it. They're adding a new scenario to pet battle dungeons. You just have to talk to Briani and Dalaran in order to access that new scenario. And then PvP brawls, their PvP is something that I dabble with on occasion, mostly world PvP, but they being Blizzard loves their quirky brawl type games. So there's a new twist to some old PvP maps where they change the rules, the modes, specific changes to how the maps are played, and so just be on the lookout for that if you're a PvPer.
Yeah, Blizzard's been trying to figure out PvP for a long time, and it is still a large part of the community, but Brawls it's another niche. It's not a fix to the underlying issues of PvP. It's just a niche in terms of something that some people may want to do just for fun, get some rewards out of it, have a good time with it. Definitely doesn't fix any of the underlying issues of PvP that are often ignored, specifically by raiders and raiding guilds, just because we're more focused on the PvE stuff.
Right.
The final two things I want to talk about, these are great UI and quality of life additions. The first one is an open all button being added to the mailbox, which many of us use postal or any sort of mailbox add-on. This is going to be part of the default UI now, so a great change for all of you goblins that are selling stuff on the auction house. And then pet spells. This is a big one. Pet spells can be put on your UI bars. So back in the days of having to macro things from your pets to your bars, no longer a thing. You can click and drag them right to your bars. Lust, anything, frostbolts. I don't even know what pets use anymore. They're all on auto for me. I can taunt on command on my pet now, so that's exciting.
That's totally useful all the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's why they call it quality of life. It's not really that useful, but it's a thing. It's a thing.
No,
we all enjoy.
It's nice. Absolutely, it's nice.
Yeah. So, guys, March 28th, really, really excited. March 29th.
For U.S. servers.
Yes, March 28th for U.S. servers, March 29th for our EU friends. A lot of cool stuff. We're returning to the Broken Shore. Kelso, thanks for joining me, man. It's late, and you stayed up.
Me.
Yeah, this is fun stuff.
It's early is what it is.
That's right. We're just getting started. So, guys, if you want to deep dive into 7.2, check out Wowhead, check out MMO Champion, check out any of the other YouTubers that do this stuff every day. We just wanted to have a little discussion about this stuff, but we're really excited to get into the Cathedral of the Eternal Night and definitely get going on our new artifact traits and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you do have any questions, please leave us a comment below. If you know anything that we don't, which is probably quite a bit, write us a line. We love the community. It's all about the community and helping each other out. But other than that, if this is your first time here, welcome. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Plenty of stuff coming in 7.2. I was promised, Kelso, by Give Me a Quest, who is a well-known Guardian Druid. I have been talking to Sal, who is one of the lead Prot Warrior guys.
I don't know where this is going, but I don't like it.
No, I've been told that there may be some guides coming on the Exiled Power server.
Oh, some guides.
Yeah, there's an Assassination Rogue guide coming. There's a Holy Paladin guide coming.
Oh, boy.
There's so much stuff coming on the
So much
Exiled
stuff.
Power YouTube channel. I can't even contain it. I just actually may take a vacation because I'm going to have to edit all of it. But that's fine. It's not a big deal. That's what I love to do. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Codiak Scout. This is Kelso, and we will see you next time.